again, Orgacom students, and to help you in your communication audit, I've decided to create a run-through, a simulated run-through of the communication audit. And to help me in this run-through at the other end of the line is Mr. VJ Rigor from De La Salle, Maine. Mr. Rigor, could you say hi to our students?
Hello, everyone.
Ganda ng boses natin. For your information, Mr. Rigor has been a faithful guinea pig and guest dito sa Orgacom for several terms now. He has visited CSB a couple of times as part of some of the Orgacom projects, and I've also sent some students to visit him in De La Salle, Maine as part of the alternative field trip. So thanks again, Mr. Rigor, for deciding to help out. Now, let us suppose that I'm a student, and Mr. Rigor has been assigned to me as my client for the communication audit. The first thing that I need to do is to book an appointment with my client, with Mr. Rigor, and then when I arrive, as part of the 6 criteria, courtesy, I greet him, I formally introduce myself. Hello, Mr. Rigor, this is Mr. Juan de la Cruz from De La Salle Vinilde. I'm a third-year export management student. And then you state your purpose. I'm here to conduct this communication audit, which is part of our requirements in Orgacom. And the audit is something that could probably help you improve your communication operations in your job. And then you thank your target audience. Thank you very much for deciding to participate in this academic exercise. Now, there are 4 questions that I asked you to share with your target audience, with your client. The first one is, who is your client? You need to know who your client is. The second one is, what are the communication tasks of your client? The third is, what are the most common communication problems? And the fourth would be recommendations and suggestions that you might have to help our client improve their communication operations. So let's start off with the first question. Who is your client? So, Mr. Rigor, for the benefit of this simulation, could you tell us what is your official designation in De La Salle, Maine?
My official designation is the HR Data Management and Systems Officer.
Okay. You are under what particular department?
The Human Resources Development and Management Office.
And this is under what particular division of De La Salle, Maine?
Under siya ng Office of the President.
So directly under the Office of the President. Okay, okay. And your immediate boss is?
The Human Resources Development Management Office Executive Director.
Okay, the Executive Director. And do you have people who are reporting under you?
Yes, the encoders who are the data build-up team who build up the 201 file from the official folders to the system.
Okay, so if I were to sum up your basic responsibility, Mr. Rigor, you're supposed to come up with a system that is supposed to provide information to the HR department of De La Salle, Maine, and among other things, your tasks is to manage the encoders to encode or transfer hard copies of this information to soft copies in the said system. Is that correct?
Yes, except that I don't provide for the software. I just supervise its operability and maintain its consistency with no glitch and the reliability of data.
Yeah.
We have vendors for that.
Yeah, it's a good thing you mentioned the vendors, no? That the software is not developed in-house by you or De La Salle, Maine, but it is provided by an external developer. So, class, no, as you may notice in this particular instance, Mr. Rigor interfaces as part of his job not only with internal publics but also an external public. In this case, the external public is the software provider. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the software provider. There's another internal public din pala that you touch base with, and these would be the future users of your system. Could you tell us about these users or potential users of your system?
The Human Resource Information System is not just one system. It is one system that composed of different programs. These programs can be used by different offices. The purpose of the program is to centralize office procedures or centralized information.
So aside from people from the HR department, there are other internal publics in De La Salle Main who do not belong to HR who also access your system?
Yes. In the future, medical and dental information can be accessed to the HRIS or performance evaluation by the ITEO. For now, we are concentrated on the HR functions.
Okay, so when you're talking about HR functions, these are the people who prepare payroll, yung mga plantilla, di ba? If there's a job opening.
Hiring applicants.
Right.
Getting applicants, storing those information, who are these applicants. You can choose from filtering information which applicants you want to hire based on qualifications, and then who are being hired, who are being separated, who have these leaves, who have these benefits, who are terminated, those who are separated,
Okay.
Other benefits, and that we can give information to accounting.
And okay, so you have HR hooked up to your system, you have accounting hooked up to your system. Obviously, De La Salle Main has both academic and non-academic personnel, no? So obviously, the various academic departments would also hook up to your system as far as their professors are concerned, right? If they get academic people, they have to go through your system. So as you can see, this is a very wide and integrative system that you guys are doing in your particular office. Now, let's move on to the second question. The second question deals with what are the most common communication responsibilities that you have in your office. Now, given this wide variety of publics that you address, primarily internal, but you also have your external public, no, the vendor. Yes, Mr. Rigor.
Primary function is the operability and ensuring the reliability of data of the system and those information.
How does that translate into communication terms? Like, do you prepare regular reports?
I do prepare regular reports. I also ask reports from our encoders, and then I verify those information if they are accurate.
Okay, so let's start first with the encoders. What kind of reports do they submit to you?
First, we have daily reports based on the minutes of the meeting, because we have daily reports after the end of the day. Second,
so the daily reports, are they oral or written in nature?
Primarily is oral because it's a daily meeting. But based on the minutes of the meeting, it is written.
Okay, so on a regular basis, on a daily basis, you receive oral as well as written reports. At what time of the day do you normally conduct this meeting with the encoders?
By 5 or 5:30.
Towards the end of the day. So they're going to give you the oral reports. What time naman do they give the written reports?
They can send it to me the next day.
So they have siguro the evening, no, of one day to do the report, and then kung ano mapag-usapan nyo orally at the end of the day for the previous day, that will be encoded in the written report that will be given to you for the next day.
Yes, because those reports can be done in 10 or 15 minutes tops. Because our meetings are brief and concise, what issues we have encountered and what are the quotas, met the quotas, or any information that needs to be discussed, any clarifications. Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned a magic word, no, that the reports need to be concise. Being concise is one of the 6 criteria that we have in Orgacom, and one of the tools that could help in developing conciseness is the use of forms. So let me ask you, Mr. Rigor, for the daily reports given to you by the encoders, do you have a form that you utilize? Like the reports na binibigay ng mga encoders, are they divided into some generic sections?
The main report that these encoders gives me is based on extracted information. This extracted information is formulated and we call them encoders form.
Encoders
Para
form.
siyang biodata.
Right.
So lahat ng information about this person, we extract and write them in a form. Like biodata. Biodata are not complete, but we only complete it based on the information that we need for the system. Example, in 1 to 2 page, we put everything, the personal information, family background, distinctions, area of specialization, education background, service record, membership, training, and work outside Lasal, meaning the work they have done before they were employed at Lasal.
Okay. So take note, class, no? If your client uses certain forms, you need to look at these forms because as part of the 6 criteria, appearance is very important. Now, unfortunately, we're doing this over the phone, so I cannot really see the forms. But if I am in the office of Mr. Rigor, I would look at these forms. Try to see also if they have forms sa mga screens ng mga software nila. Try to see if they're user-friendly, if the information that needs to be captured is already in these forms. Try to look at them as well. No? Try to examine the office if they have certain signs and other codes that we have taken up in Orgacom, because this might also help in developing better communication practices, or maybe these particular signs are giving out some confusing messages, and therefore that these signs or signages have to be changed as well. So, okay, let us suppose that we have already discussed a couple of items for question number 2, no, your communication responsibilities. Let us now move to question number 3. Ito na, this is the most challenging part, I guess, along with question number 4. What are the most common communication problems that you have encountered in your work?
Before I can we answer that, may I give an additional information?
Sure, no problem.
Encoders form.
Okay.
The purpose of the encoders form is for us to easily check information and encode them easily.
Yeah.
Why? Because when we're going to analyze a 201 file or the employer's personal record, it composed of several records, or sometimes it's about 3 inches thick information, or sometimes 2 or 3 folders, because that employee has been a company for 30 years. So it composed of leaves, applications, letters, grievances, recommendations, educational background, personal information, family background. So we're trying to summarize those information in 1 to 2 pages or up to 4 pages if ever. And all service record through the years. So kung kahit sa 30 years siya, isipin mo kung saan namin nahanapin lahat ng movement ng record through the years na na-promote siya, umalis siya, bumalik siya, nag-leave siya. So we're trying to record everything and we're trying to summarize them for easy encoding instead of looking at the folder and then we encode that information. So isipin mo na lang na every time na titingin ka sa folder, titingin sa sa computer, encode mo isa-isa. So matagal. So we have to put everything in one paper and then encode namin para mas mabilis.
Well, it's a good thing that you mentioned that particular situation, Mr. Rigor, no? Kasi even if you say you're supposed to encode everything, I don't think, especially if it's a 3-inch thick document, to compress it to only 2 pages. So you have no choice but to be concise and come up with just a summary with the right keywords, the right information so that whoever is looking at the soft copy summary, if they need anything at all, by just looking at those simple keywords, they know where to find it, what particular file, and yeah, I get the picture, no? The class had a similar...
That information we can transfer on the system. There are only certain information that are needed in the system.
Right. I was going to mention that the class had a similar exercise before where they were supposed to compress information in a business plan. Okay, for purposes of coming up with a 5-minute presentation, they had a field trip to this organization in Makati where that is done on a fairly regular basis. So compared to what you guys are doing, the compression of the key financials and data in the business plan is a walk in the park compared to what you guys have to do. This is really a major challenge as far as creating conciseness and coherence is concerned. And conciseness and coherence are part of the 6 criteria. By the way, I also failed to mention, let's backtrack a bit to question number 1, which is who is your client and what is the role of your client in the organization. If your client has a copy of the org chart, please ask if you can get a photocopy of the org chart so you could see exactly where your client is within the organization. You will notice the line and staff relationships, like the line relationship that he has with his boss, the staff relationship that he has with his colleagues, the line relationship that he has with the people who report to him, and then you also have your external target audience here, which is the vendor. So I guess that's just a little aside that I failed to put in for question number 1. Okay, so we were talking about question number 3, the most common communication problems. Now, I know every office has a ton of communication problems, but we're not doing a thesis here. We're just doing a simple report. So we will just focus on probably the top 3 communication problems that are encountered by our client. So, Mr. Rigor, could you share with us some of these common communication problems that you have?
So, first, the communication problems that I encountered are the quotas met.
Okay, what do you mean by quotas?
And these quotas should be reasonable. Because when you're looking when you're looking information at the 201 file or the personal file, you might never know when you're going to finish it. It could be an hour, it could be 2 hours or 3 hours. So we divide something based on experience, trial and error, how many or how much a person can finish in a day.
Okay, let's have a point of clarification here. No, when you speak of quotas for whom? For the encoders that are reporting to you.
Encoders.
Okay, and then the quotas pertain to the number of 201 files that they can encode, right? That they can finish on a fairly regular basis. Okay, very good. And let me ask you, what is the nature of the problem for the quotas? Do they fail to meet the quotas that they have promised to achieve at the end of the day? Is that it? Is that the problem?
Yes. So why is there a quota? Because we have deadlines to finish. So that we can have we have this schedule to finish the project itself. So based on how many folders or the names of the 201 file existing at our company, so we divide everything. How many we can finish in a day, which is reasonable, and how long we can finish all of them.
Okay. In the previous section, you will notice that we asked Mr. Rigor what control mechanism is he using as far as the quotas are concerned. And we have discovered that we have 2 reports that he is utilizing here. First, we have the oral report. So that's one channel, an oral channel, and then that is done at the end of the day. And then the encoders create a written report, so that's another medium, that's another channel, that's another report that will be submitted the next day. So let's ask Mr. Rigor, in the information provided in the oral report as well as the written report, would it be possible for you to track and to track the progress progress as well as correct if there are any backlogs or delays in the achievement of the target quotas for the encoders.
Yes, I can track them. Because based on oral reports, I have to compare them from the written reports and from other reports that I can that are recorded. So based on verification, why some of these reports do not match the quota? Then I will ask them how, why. Is it too fake? It's too unreasonable to finish a folder? Because they will sometimes they encounter one folder, one name that has 3 folders, 3 each.
Okay.
So, about around 35 years of service. So, naka-record mo nandun. So, I want to find out what are those issues so that we can resolve them.
Okay.
Because if we cannot meet a quota, then we cannot meet a deadline. We cannot meet a deadline, so we will have problems on budget, we have problems on other projects. So those are just one of the issues that we will encounter if there are deadlines.
Okay. So as you can see, class, the serious implications of this failure to meet deadlines, which is caused by certain gaps in the communication cycle. Okay, now let's try to look at this closely. Mr. Rigor mentioned that he has his control devices, he has his reports, but there are some discrepancies in these reports. Now the reports, they are control mechanisms, they're also part of the feedback loop, if you still remember the SRAM. That is how Mr. Rigor gets feedback. He also gets feedback by asking the encoders why. Why is there a delay here? Why were you not able to encode this thing properly? Okay? Now, the last question that we're going to ask is question number 4. What sort of recommendations can we give? Okay, so the nature of recommendations will depend on the sort of problems that have been presented to you. Let's say, this is your problem. One recommendation can probably be procedural. Let's ask Mr. Rigor. Do you think there is a better way of getting information from your encoders and the other independent sources so that you would be able to not just track but anticipate some of these potential backlogs, and before the backlog happens, help you arrest this particular problem before it becomes a backlog?
Yes, we have encountered that. Based on daily meetings, we always ask issues what they have encountered based on extracting information. What are those issues we have encountered? Don't we record them?
Yun. Okay, so what is the nature of this record? Is it in the form of a book? Is it in the form of, kasi di ba minsan uso na rin ngayon yung tinatawag na parang wiki file. Alam mo yun? It's like a mind map where if you have a certain problem, all of the related problems na pwedeng idikit dun sa generic na situation yun, dun ilalagay.
Mostly we make a tally and by categories.
But how is the information stored? Itong mga solutions na nagawa na nyo before na, okay, 3 weeks ago, Maria had this problem with digesting a 3-inch thick folder, and here was the solution that worked for Maria. How do you store that solution?
We have this form in boxes or
Boxes, okay.
usually a very simple form that we can easily use and knowing when it was resolved. First is the item. What is this item? Second, what is the issue for that item?
Okay.
And third column will be how it is resolved. Fourth column, is it resolved or not? So we just put resolved or not resolved. And R.
Yeah.
Then, the date it was reported, another comment, when was it resolved?
Okay.
So every issues that we encounter, even issues repeated, is easily determinable if it is resolved.
Mm-hmm.
If the issue was made or reported last January 1, and then another same issue was reported on January 5, if that issue on January 1 was resolved, then that issue on January 5 is already resolved. And we will put that date that it was resolved last January 1.
Oh,
For easy reference.
okay. And I suppose this is a soft copy file. Kasi kung soft copy, you could always make use of yung search, di ba? Just put in the keywords, any problem that has that particular keyword or maybe a module in the system would automatically pop up, di ba?
Yes.
Parang ganon, no? So you don't have a hard copy backup of that. Everything is in soft copy.
Meron pang hard copy. Pag nag-check lang ako, mabilis sa lalo pag nagtatrabaho din ako sa bahay. I'm a workaholic since sometimes I work at home.
Oh, Pepe, that's good, no? So you have multiple media, multiple channels for this repository of problems that have been resolved. Okay, you could either look at the hard copy if you bring it at home when you don't have access to the computer, or you could look at the soft copy. The benefit of looking at the soft copy is that you could make use of yung search, find, keyword function, diba, that we find in a lot of software. So that would be one of the solutions that you could recommend to your client given this particular problem. Now, let's briefly talk about another problem that you mentioned a while ago, which is the problem of the users, because the users are supposed to set aside time so that they could visit the office of Mr. Rigor and test run the system on a fairly regular basis. But because they have some conflicting schedules, hindi nila nagagawa yon. So what is the communication solution here? Kasi they are supposed to undergo some sort of training. The training here ideally should be face-to-face. So that's a medium, that's a channel. Pero since mahirap silang hagilapin in one fell swoop, maybe as part of an answer to question number 4, you could explore online video training. Right? You mentioned a particular term, this training program that is offered by De La Salle, but primarily for academic personnel only.
Yes, the IVLE, Instructional Video Learning Education. I forgot the exact term, but they call it IVLE. It is a media by video learning that you can teach on the classroom basis.
And if you look at some of the instructional formats available in YouTube, specifically if you are training someone in the use of a certain software, there is this software wherein you could see on your screen the actual program that you're supposed to work with, and then there would be arrows na gagalaw. It will open the software for you, and then the instructor will tell you when you click this button, this is what you will see. So it guides you, no? It gives you like a walkthrough through the system, and it is intended for one-on-one instruction. So you don't have to be a group in order to benefit from this. If you don't have time to be with your colleagues, for example, in your department, you could learn the system on your own by using this video instructional. So the video instructional is another medium/channel as an alternative to the ideal classroom face-to-face, which could either be, small group or big group, no? But because of the problem in scheduling, I guess the video instructional will be an appropriate communication solution that you could provide. Would you like to add anything else, Mr. Rigor?
In addition to that problem with the users, It is possible, and it is also part of our planning talks, to give video instructions. However, at present, currently, we cannot give that because we need also their feedback when it comes to the system testing side. When it comes to the testing system side of the software, is looking at glitches or any information that are needed by the office or the users based on the job functions that are not included in the system.
Okay.
The system needs this information that the users do not understand.
Okay, let me give another recommendation, again as part of question number 4. To capture the feedback that you need from the users regarding potential difficulties that they might encounter, another medium/channel that you could use here can probably be a survey form. So you could have, let's say, a survey question like, do you find anything difficult in the system right now? Is there a screen that you cannot understand, that is very hard to operate? If so, what is this? And then they will identify that in the survey, right? And then you could have another portion in the survey that would ask them to elaborate further. What do you find difficult about this screen or about this operation? Tapos doon na sila mag-elaborate. So what do you think of that particular suggestion, using a survey form?
Yes, we can use that. I even suggested if they encounter anything, all they have to do is just press the print screen, then save it on, paste it on Word document, then send it to us.
Yon, tama. That's good. Speaking of the print screen function, here is another tip that I could give the Orgucom students. If you have a digital camera, what you could do is you could also take photos of the forms, of the signs that you will notice in the office, screenshots, okay? Because you could show it to your other group mates who might not be present at the time that you make the visit, and maybe they could also see certain problems on their own when they see the digital photos that you have taken. Again, this is part of the 6 criteria. This pertains to appearance. And from appearance, it can spill over to clarity, accuracy, and all of the remaining 6 criteria. So, yeah, I guess the survey form would also be an appropriate medium. Even if there is no person from the office of Mr. Rigor to personally assist them with it, if the question is easy enough to understand, I guess the necessary information that they need to capture some of the problem areas that are existing in the system can also be done through the use of this particular tool or device. Okay? So anything else that you'd like to add, Mr. Rigor?
So now, at least you pointed some things that it can help us, and we thank you for that.
Oh, and also thank you, Mr. Rigor, for giving us this opportunity to do the run-through. Kasi they will be having their own target organizations to work with. Now, in the run-through, I'm sure they could pick up a lot of informative tips, and obviously we could add more tips as the days progress. But for now, we will say goodbye to Mr. Rigor. Thank you again for helping out. And we wish you good luck in your information system over there at the De La Salle Main.